The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL NewsRadio.
Last night in Provo, the Utah County Commissioners unanimously passed a policy that would allow local law enforcement to share information with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's ICE. The Utah County Sheriff Mike Smith laid out the policy and called it a partnership of transparency. But what was on the table was whether there should be some level of cooperation between ICE and the Utah County Sheriff's Office and the Utah County Commission. This was a packed house, it seemed like last night, Holly, unanimously agreed that they will adopt that policy.
Yeah, but lots and lots of people who came to express their opinion. And I wanted to talk with Utah County Commissioner Amelia Gardner about what the input was from the people who attended the meeting and why, like what policy shift this is or not. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you. Glad to be here with you guys, Greg and Holly.
Great. Can you lay out for us just a little bit about, first, let's just start with the policy. Is this a policy shift, and why or why not?
Yeah, so thank you for that question. You know, I'm going to correct Greg on his intro a little bit. This is not for us to share information with ICE. We confirmed with the sheriff last night that Utah County would not be sharing any information with ICE. This gives us the ability to get access to ICE information. Right now, ICE is in our community. They're coming in, they're making arrests, and we have no clue where they are. We have no clue what they're doing. We don't have any access to their information because Utah County, we had a cooperative agreement with ICE, and we had canceled it years ago. And then knowing that these ICE raids are picking up and that there's rumors of these arrests in our community, we had no clue what was going on. So Sheriff Smith actually, to his credit, flew back to D.C., met with the head of ICE and said, we need you to work with us better. ICE pushed back and he walked out of the room. He literally walked out of headquarters, got called to the White House the next day and said, look, this is not the Utah way. What you're doing is not the Utah way. We actually have had, because of that meeting that he had in the White House, we've had a change of leadership here with ICE in Utah. They got rid of the Utah director because he wasn't working with local law enforcement, brought in a new guy. And so this is our attempt to have a good faith effort to work with ICE in our communities. This agreement gives us the ability to provide interpreters for people that don't speak English. It gives us a formal complaint process. And then the information sharing piece of it is it gives our major crimes task force, not patrol officers, not someone pulling you over, major crimes task force will then have the ability to access ICE information and determine if the people they're dealing with who have committed heinous crimes are here illegally.
So thank you, Commissioner, for clearing that up. I did misunderstand what had happened here, but I guess I talk about this from a jurisdictional question, which is you can certainly enact a policy that has or requests or requires your sheriff's office to cooperate with ICE, but I'm just thinking out loud here. How can you force or ask or request ICE to cooperate with your department?
So we can't force ICE to do anything. In fact, that's one of the things that I pushed back on the sheriff a little bit for yesterday and that I was concerned about. And so this is an MOA, a memorandum of understanding and an agreement that we have the ability to cancel at any time. So if ICE isn't upholding their end of the deal, we're trying to work with them in good faith to say, hey, you're in our community. We want to know what you're doing. We want to know where you're doing it. Make it very clear, our sheriff has told them that he will not participate in labor raids and he will not participate in immigration raids. He doesn't want them going after our hospitality community or our farming community. He wants to work with them on the major crimes task force. In our county, we had a hitman for MS-13 gang was arrested in our county last year. And we've had some significant issues with drug trafficking coming through the I-15 corridor. Those are the types of crimes that we would like to work with them on. Beyond that, if they don't uphold their end of the deal, we have the ability to cancel this with a simple vote, and we have commitment from the sheriff that he won't fight us on that.
It seems like there were really a lot of people who came to speak against this actually approach. Can you talk to us about like how long were you in this meeting and how many people had the opportunity to speak to your commission?
So the meeting was 5 hours and 15 minutes long, and we let every person who wanted a chance to speak got a chance to speak. We stayed there for 5 hours and listened. And one of the common themes that we found was that people just didn't understand what this agreement was. They thought we were inviting ICE into our community. We weren't. They're already here. We had one comment on Facebook that said that the commission was signing an agreement for the health department to cooperate and that this would affect people with health conditions. Like this, I mean, there was so much misinformation. And people thought we were approving labor raids. We specifically told them we did not approve labor raids and wouldn't participate in those, right? So there was a lot of misinformation, but people are emotional right now. There's a lot of high emotion, and it's warranted. I mean, if some of the things that we're being told that ICE are doing in other areas are true, there's reason for people to be upset, and we recognize that. That's why we stayed for 5 hours and listened.
We're joined this morning by Amelia Powers Gardner, Utah County Commissioner. It sounds, Commissioner, like I am among the people who didn't clearly understand what was happening here, and I appreciate you clearing that up. So, in a nutshell, if you were to talk to your constituents today, how does this change what is currently happening in Utah County as it relates to the cooperation between the county sheriff and ICE agents and ICE?
Operationally, it doesn't really change anything. But what hopefully it will change is the relationship so that we can know where they are and what they're doing. And then when we're investigating major crimes, that we can get information when we need to about things like violent gangs and trafficking.
So it sounds to me like you had 3 items on your agenda that was part of this MOU. One of them was to allow ICE to train, certify, and authorize officers to serve and execute administrative warrants. Is that something that's new and different?
That's only with that's the major crimes task force aspect of it. So the major crimes task force people, if they're already arresting someone for drug trafficking, human trafficking, violent crimes, they will be trained by ICE. And if that person is in the country illegally, that they're trained by ICE on how they can handle that situation, but only the major crimes task force.
I have one final question, if you don't mind. I understand it doesn't go into effect right away. What's the timeline?
We don't know the exact timeline because we've got to get IT agreements and make sure that we get on the schedule for the training and things. But in the meantime, I have agreed to sit down with the ACLU and start looking at other jurisdictions that have similar agreements and see what has worked with them and what hasn't worked with them. So we've got a little bit of time to make sure that any cooperation will not violate people's civil rights. We are very committed to that in Utah County.
Thank you, Commissioner. That was Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner, who I think set the record straight on a lot of questions I had about what happened at the commission meeting last night as it relates to ICE and their cooperation going forward with the county sheriff.